This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Well, a very pleasant good morning. It's 11:07 at WPSL 1590. The talk of the Treasure Coast is 2023 rolls on. It's hard to believe. It just doesn't seem to stop here. And Katrina Beasley is with us. Boy, it has been so busy for you at HarborPlace. How's it going?
Hey, Greg. It is going good. As you said, it's been quite busy. Summertime is here, so we're slowing a little bit, but we remain busy here in this senior industry, this senior living industry world. So, yeah.
Well, and I think the big thing is, in a way, you almost needed it, a little breather, because you've been going 100 miles an hour all year.
Yep, absolutely. But you know what? When you have the opportunity to serve the senior adult and help them in times when they need to transition to a different lifestyle, a different way of living, whether they are still able to do some of those things independently or maybe they need a little bit of assistance, you know, it's probably one of the greatest feelings in the world to be able to step in and to provide the support and help, especially when there is a family in need. So as much as we are busy, we love the busy because it's making a difference in someone's life.
And I think the one thing too is that you folks have always done, and I know Pat has told me this a million times, is that you urge them to bring some of their furniture from their house or very familiar things because HarborPlace is their home.
Yeah. And so as they're making that transition, you know, one of the things that we talk about is just what you said. So when they're trying to decide like what happens next, right? And it is to bring their own furniture, their furnishings, so that their apartment looks like what they want it to look like, you know, not what we want it to look like, and that they're also not afraid to be able to sit on the furniture or move a picture or, you know, rearrange the furniture. And so we do encourage them to bring their own things in, decorate it, make it their home, because it is now their new way of living.
Yeah, and I think that then the only real change is they have dinner with a lot of friends and they can deal with a lot of friends all day.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that I hear most is, hey, I don't have to cook anymore, right? I just go downstairs to the dining room, restaurant style dining, pick up the menu. I have a number of entrees and options to choose from, and I do that. You know, one of the things that we also hear is that, oh my goodness, I've never eaten as much, right? So serving 3 meals a day, and so being able to enjoy the finer foods, still some of those home style favorites that they know and love and probably have cooked at home as well. But certainly just being able to just come down and say, what friend am I sitting with today, right? Who am I gonna break bread with today? Enjoy that service and then leave and not even have to do the dishes afterwards. So
Hey, it doesn't get any better than that. And
absolutely.
I think my one regret, my mom was fiercely independent, and I really, really tried to, get her into your place, but she just wanted to be, on her own. And unfortunately, when there was an accident, nobody was there to help her, and that was kind of a sad ending. But and that doesn't happen at your place.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, I can understand, you know, especially when you're talking about someone who has lived either with a spouse or with children or, you know, others. right? And now there's this decision that has to be made. So you're asking me to give up my independence, right? But what the way we do it here at Harbor Place and when we're sharing is that you can still be independent, right? Just maybe with a little bit of assistance. Again, when you're talking about our independent living community, still doing many of those things that you were doing at home. You're still able to do that with the exception of, the cooking, the housekeeping. We do offer some laundry services for our independent living residents, but we do have the washers and dryers that are there if they still want to be able to do some of that laundry on their own. And then, of course, a host of activities here and social programming throughout the community. And then transportation, whether it's to shopping or going out to the mall or some of the excursions, those are things that they can still remain independent, but still have a little bit of assistance from us, right? So that's how we kind of share it. When someone is saying, well, now I have to give up my home, or I'm not going to be as independent as I was before. And so they can still do that. We just offer a little bit more of those services, right? Those things that they no longer want to do and don't have to worry about anymore.
Yeah, I think that's marvelous. And I the few times that I get a chance to get down there, it seems like almost every time I go, I see a lady walking her little dog, and she still drives. I'm not sure how old she is now, but she's got a car that's out front, and she'll occasionally go to the store, and so she's totally independent and loving where she lives. I think it's great.
Yep. Again, the difference is that you're not alone, right? Hence kind of what the play on the show, right? You're never alone. And so you can still be able to go and do many of those things with friends that may not live at Harbor Place, but you can still go have lunch with the ladies. You can still go out to dinner with some of your friends. Pet friendly for sure. So being able to have your dog here, walk the dog on our spacious grounds here, and still take care of them. But again, kind of going back to taking away some of those responsibilities that were day to day that, what, I just don't want to do those anymore. Now I have more time to enjoy my family, to enjoy my friends, and to meet new friends, right? So,
And I'll tell you, just getting the homeowners insurance bill had skyrocketed. It's sounding awfully tempting right now.
and I think that's one of those other things too, when we start to look at the cost, right? Most people will say, well, how can I afford it? Or it's so much more than what I'm paying now. But we've done cost comparisons, right? And so side by side, what your monthly rent is here at Harbor Place versus, your electric bill, your cable bill, your phone bill. If you're not maintaining your lawn yourself, what are you paying, for the person that's caring for your lawn? If you have a pool, who's maintaining the pool? The homeowner's insurance, right? Those kinds of things. Taxes, if you have a car, the tag and title, the car insurance. And so we lay that all out. And what happens is you'll find that it is better, right? When you're talking about from a financial standpoint, here at Harbor Place. And again, I kind of keep harping on that without all of those other extras, right? That sometimes consume, especially the senior adult, right? From enjoying their life, from enjoying time with friends, with families, because they're consumed and worry about all of the other things that need to take place.
And I think the one thing that I noticed over the years, just watching our parents, is just the whole isolation thing. That that they had fewer friends, fewer people to deal with, and that's the beauty of Harbor Place. They're right there in that same building.
Sure. I mean, just like any of us, right? We have friends that we've known for a long time, grew up together, or raised our families together, and of course, as we begin to age, we start to see that some of our friends have passed away, and so it does feel like everyone around me is gone, and I'm all alone. And so here at Harbor Place is the opportunity to meet new friends. And oftentimes what happens is when we meet a prospective resident, we want to know more about them, some of their lifestyle, some of their hobbies, their interests. What did they do before retiring? How did they raise their families? Are there any friends that are still close by? And once we know that, then it makes it a little bit easier for us. So when they do move into the community, we can introduce them, right, to some of our residents who may have worked in that same industry, may have come from the same state, may have lost a spouse, right, more recently, may have the same number of children or the interest. And so we work really hard to make sure that when the person moves in, that we are connecting them to those that have similar interests, likes, maybe even age appropriate, right? So it makes it a little bit easier for that transition to happen, and they don't feel like they're all alone.
Well, and I think the thing that this was a cute story. I think it came out on one of our Christmas Kids shows that we did at your place years ago. Was all of a sudden a Harbor Place romance, and, and
Sure.
two widows, and it was. I think it was hysterical.
Yeah. You know what? That happens. I was talking to a daughter yesterday, and so I said, well, maybe, mom will want one of the apartments close to so and so, right? And she was tickled because she was tickled that mom is actually dating someone, right? And so it happens, to persons who have had spouses, they passed away, they get here, they may see them across from the dining room or in an activity. They start talking, and then, hey, love begins to bloom. So it happens. I've had one time in this career that I've done that we've had a wedding of two people that met at the community and decided that they wanted to get married. So it is possible, right? That you can find love. It is not just the place you go just to be taken care of or because you cannot live at home. This is the place that you can find love again.
This is so cool. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We have to ask about your former home. How is that coming? I know they had a lot of damage from the hurricane. Is it going to be reopening sometime around the first of the year?
The Bridge at Orlando, which is one of many communities that are part of Century Park Associates, it is in the process of being rebuilt, and we are looking at possibly a February opening. Many of our residents are still in the Orlando area, so hoping that they will come back and join our family. But certainly if not, then the doors will be open for new families to come in and experience the Century Park, the Bridge at Orlando lifestyle. Yeah.
Well, now we've heard a lot about floods and things like that in the Northeast. Did you have any facilities up in that area?
Amazingly, have not had any of the communities sustain any type of flooding or anything like that. But as you know, Greg, certainly we are poised for any natural disaster event that happens. And that's the beauty of Century Park. Really just come together as a team, whether the community is in Indianapolis or in Lawrenceville, Georgia, or right here in Port St. Lucie. Florida, we are forged to make sure that we provide the support for one another.
Well, and that is the beauty of your place. I mean, you have that flexibility of basically one owner who's been that owner for a long, long time, and they can do a lot of. They can be nimble where some other folks cannot.
That is, I mean, Forrest Preston has been the owner and the only owner, right, of Century Park Associates, and I think that does make a difference when we talk about the I don't even though for lack of word the continuity, the structure, the values, the mission, that has been able to be sustained with all of, in all of these years, and really does make a difference, especially for that person, not only the resident. Who's looking to just, move into a community that they know is going to be stable, that they're not going to be looking at ownership coming in a couple of years and changing, or that the community might close because it can't sustain, financially or just in the marketplace. And so we share those things with potential residents as well, so that they understand that Harbor Place and Century Park are sustainable. We are here. We've been here for 22 plus years, and we plan to be here for another 22 plus years.
Yeah, and I know that in case of a hurricane, you're totally self-sufficient. Your building can obviously withstand hurricanes. It already has several times, and unlike some facilities in Port St. Lucie that had to evacuate because they're wood structures, you guys have never had to do that.
Yeah. And it makes the difference when you're talking about not even building, but even maintaining the structure of the community. And so we do. So throughout the entire first floor, we have hurricane impact windows, so that we can remain in place. So if there is any strong winds that are coming, that the building is able to sustain those winds. We have our generators, which are in place. Should we lose power, or I shouldn't say should we lose power, when we lose power, because that typically does happen when we lose power, that we do have certain areas of the community that we can still maintain some lighting as well as some cooling, to provide that cooling temp for 81 degrees or below for our residents that come down to those particular areas. So with the storm, we're not in the flood zone, but if we were, I mean, I guess we would evacuate, but we don't have to, but we can still be able to maintain the safety and the security of our residents here. Plenty of food, water, activities, programs, everything that, probably if someone who is living in their own home may be uncomfortable doing and not, 100% sure that they're safe. But here at HarborPlace, we make sure that the residents are safe, they're secure. Our management team is here throughout the entire time that a storm may be threatening the area. So before, during, and after, to make sure that our residents are safe. And so, again, that's the difference when we're talking about someone living at home versus living in a community type setting when those type of natural events happen.
Yeah, and I think this is really important especially for folks in their 40s and 50s that might be out driving around right now, and thinking, well, mom and dad are somewhere up in the Northeast, and we really need to get them down here. We really can't do it at our house, but what an alternative, HarborPlace.
Absolutely. And and again, we understand that it is oftentimes a tough decision, right, to make, but I would encourage anyone to explore this type of living, whether it is independent living or maybe they need a little bit more of assistance. So in our assisted living community, to be able to explore it, especially when we're talking about from a safety, from a care aspect, or just a social aspect, right? It does make a difference when someone moves into a community type setting, has the opportunity to be engaged with others that have similar interests, likes. It does make a difference when we're talking about life, and then just making sure that they are living a good life, right? A healthier life. So, yeah.
And I think the big thing too, seeing that none of us had ever lived through a pandemic at all, and is how you guys manage to handle yourselves and keep everybody safe at HarborPlace during that crazy few years.
Sure. And again, it was, an epic event that no one had ever seen or experienced. And so, through it all, it just, again, with our support center in Cleveland, Tennessee, I'm really just working with each one of our communities, communicating, putting processes in place to make sure that our residents and our associates and our families remain safe throughout that, and still practicing many of those protocols today. Still have many of the infection control processes that we had back then. Those are still in place today. Obviously we're not wearing the mask anymore. They've declared that we're no longer in a pandemic. So we were able to relax some of those things, but still keeping in mind that there are other infections, there are other things that can impact the community, can impact our residents and our associates and our families. And so still keeping many of those things that we were doing 2.5 years ago, we still have them in place today.
And I know that, boy, it was just something, the few times that I was going in there, that machine that you had at the front desk was absolutely phenomenal. take your temperature and the whole thing. It was great.
Absolutely. So the AccuShield is still in place. We do ask our associates, our families, and our residents that if they're going to be coming into the community or going out of the community, that they do screen in so that we can take their temperature, so that if there is anything, right, it asks a couple of questions still with regards to COVID-19. And so answering those questions does allow for us to make sure that if there is anybody that has symptoms or signs, to put some different kind of protocols in place. It doesn't mean that they can't visit, but it means that we have to just ask that they do something a little bit different so that their visit is safe, not only for the one that they're visiting, but for our other residents and our associates as well.
Yeah, I know a friend of ours just got off the boat in an Alaskan cruise, and both
Sure.
he and his wife got COVID on the ship. So it's like it's still out there, folks. I mean, you can't deny that. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so again, it's not something that, will most likely go away, but even just the common cold these days or a pneumonia or flu, right? I know for me, and here at HarborPlace, it has, put us in a different kind of mindset, that, don't come to work sick, or, encourage the residents to stay in their apartment if they're not feeling well. And they do so, also understanding that the impact it could have on other residents and associates.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, we've all just, don't have to be preoccupied with it, but it's just going to kind of be there. We just have to be just a little bit more careful. We're midway through the show. What about events at HarborPlace? We haven't even gotten to that yet.
Yeah, so, it's summertime, so we found that people are a little bit more relaxed. They want to go on vacation. So many of the things that we're doing really are just kind of community specific, right, for our residents and then our associates and families here. But one event that we do have coming up in August as we, gear back up for the fall, so to speak, is that we do have one of our physicians, Dr. Henry Callis, who's going to be coming in on Friday, August the 18th. And he's going to be talking about something that we can all relate to, which is forgetfulness.
I'm
right?
sorry, what's your name again? Oh, yes.
Right. So, and oftentimes I tell you, even me, I forget things and I do kind of, have a little bit of concern. It's like, oh my goodness, is something changing with my memory? Right? Because it just doesn't affect the older adult. We've found and seen in articles and things that we've heard that it can, memory can affect those that are a little bit younger as well. So Dr. Callis is just going to kind of come in gently and talk a little bit about forgetfulness and what does that look like and what can we do, right, when you have a concern.
Well, you had Dr. Callis on once or twice before, I think, and
Right.
he is wonderful. I mean,
Right.
yeah, what a way to kick things off for the fall. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, so and that's one of the things here at Harbor Place is that we do as much as we can get information to our residents. Knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is helpful, and so whatever we can do to make sure that our residents get the best of the knowledge, the concerns, we listen to them as well if they have a particular interest or there's a particular concern with our lifestyle director, then we start to seek out those professionals who can come in and share with our residents those things that are concerning to them, especially when we're talking about health wise. So,
And you hit lifestyle. I mean, there is so much to do there. It's incredible when you see the activities going on at Harbor Place on a daily basis.
yeah, so we offer anywhere from 6 to 7 activities throughout the day, starting as early as 9:30 in the morning, whether it is doing shuffleboard, going out to Publix or to Walmart, and then just following suit with the rest of the day. Yesterday was our Monday, so we had our Mimosa Monday. Today is Tuesday, and so one of the events is aqua size in our pool. So being able to do some water therapy and water exercise to blackjack to one of the favorites here is bingo, to horse racing and you name it, cornhole, and of course then there's the lectures that happen. I get the opportunity to meet with the residents once a month to hear some of the concerns that they have here in the community, as well as to share some things that are happening here in the community and throughout the company. So, yeah, you won't get bored here. And those are just the things that we do. And then we have our groups, our women and our men who actually will do many things on their own. So poker on Monday and Wednesday night, so or canasta or mahjong, right? And so you name it, it's here.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
amazing. Sure, why not?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think that's great, and I love the water aerobics, huh? The aqua stuff.
sure.
That's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course we have our little small gym area. So if you wanted to do some exercise on your own with on the treadmill or using one of our new steps machines, then certainly can do that. And again, I go back to the grounds are phenomenal here. So a nice walking path around the grounds certainly can get your exercise on that way as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think you have talked in the past, and of course, we've had the folks over from the nursing facility just south of you, that, the fact that you've got that continuum of care that really could span 20 years in a way, if you think about it, I think it's just really, really unusual.
Yeah. So it's not something that we market as a continuum of care, but certainly the campus is set up that way. So whether you're coming in and you're independent, and then of course, as you're aging in place, maybe needing more of the assistance in our assisted living community, and then certainly as aging in place, maybe needing more of the long-term care setting. We do have Life Care, which is right here on the campus. So they do offer the long-term care aspect, but as well as they offer physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, as well as skilled nursing. So someone coming out of the hospital needs just a little bit of rehab. They can actually go into Life Care, get that rehab, and then return back here to the community, whether it's independent or assisted living, and still have the opportunity for their therapist to come into the community and work with them here in the community or through outpatient with Life Care.
Wow, I think that's great. And can you utilize long-term care insurance for some of that therapy as well?
So in independent living, you can utilize some long-term care. It's a little tricky. So I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but definitely in our assisted living community, you can use the long-term care because they do require assistance with some of those activities of daily living, whether that's your bathing, your dressing, your grooming, maybe assistance with medications, and maybe escorts, down to meals or to activities. But I know that you can use the long-term care. It's just a matter of, what the policy looks like. But we work with those residents and those families who have those policies to make sure that claims get established, and then do whatever it is that we need to make sure that they can actually utilize that benefit here at the community.
And I remember a while ago that you had a physician who comes into HarborPlace regularly and makes house calls inside HarborPlace.
Yeah, so we do have a number of physicians as well as nurse practitioners that come in both in the independent living and our assisted living community, which is, again, a nice feature. Oftentimes what happens is that it is a challenge, again, to get out to a doctor's appointment, and especially for the resident who may need some support from a family member or a friend to go with them. So we have physicians that come into the community. We have a podiatrist that comes in as well, a couple of audiologists that come in. So again, although we're not set up, as a medical facility, we do work well with our providers out in the community to provide a lot of those services for our residents right here in the community.
Now, could someone take the HarborPlace bus and go to a physician? I mean, are you set up to do stuff like that?
Oh, sure, absolutely. One of the things I heard you mention, someone they were driving their car. So we do have residents who will bring their cars, right? Because they still want to have that independence to be able to get in the car and still run some of those errands. But we do have our transportation. We have a couple of buses and a car here that can take our residents out to their medical appointments within the Port St. Lucie and Martin County areas, as well as, again, as I mentioned earlier, to some of those, shopping. They need to, go to the beauty salon or the nail salon. So our transportation is available to take our residents out. Yeah. So whether you have a car or you don't have a car, we can still get you to where you need to go.
Yeah, and of course, Publix is right up the road from you. by the Civic
Absolutely.
Center. So
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, it's close by. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Which is great because they love to go shopping, even though, again, we provide the 3 meals a day and snacks galore. There's still nothing like being able to have some of your favorite snacks or beverages in your apartment.
yep, nothing like that. That's for sure. Well, you talk about um, the whole comparison, I guess, if you will, of owning a house versus moving into Harbor Place, and the way things are skyrocketing with real estate and everything else, it really does make sense to look at your place. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And again, it's a hard choice. It's a hard decision to make. Um, and some make it and others don't. But certainly for us, um, if if you are interested or you're contemplating or maybe just even curious, right? We love the opportunity to be able to share the why and obviously the value behind independent or assisted living community setting, the services and the amenities that we offer. Again, everybody's preference is different, everyone's situation is different, but certainly, come to us. Let us at least share with you the value of it, and then go from there. That's what we do. That's what we love here. That's what we love to do here. Honestly, Pat and myself.
Yeah, and you mentioned Pat, who's again a perfect example of the continuity that's all part of Harbor Place. She's been there a long time.
Absolutely. Pat, I tell you, I was telling the residents the other day, she is the cornerstone of Harbor Place. Absolutely. She's been here, I think, probably, 10 plus years, maybe even more, but certainly loves what she does, loves serving our seniors, our families, um, even current families, prospective families, being able to share the services and the amenities, but more importantly, just being able to help, right? To be able to give knowledge, give insight, again to the value when someone is looking for this type of setting, to be able to say, the reason why, and if it doesn't work out, what are some of the resources that we can provide so that they do get the help that they need, the lifestyle that they need, and that they've made the decision on. So I think that makes the difference every day in what we do. Is how can we serve those that are in need? How can we serve those that are looking or contemplating, you know, this type of lifestyle?
And talking with residents over the years, especially doing the Christmas Kids shows there, that uh, they talk about the attention of detail that all of you pay to all of them. And it's like they're not a number. I mean, they're family at Harbor Place.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, I think that is what we pride ourselves on here at Harbor Place. The leadership team is phenomenal. If a resident needs something, we're all there. We pitch hit for each other. If one can't step in, then the other does. It's almost I when I talk about it, it's almost like one-on-one, right? One-on-one care, one-on-one service. There isn't anything that we can't do. Again, driver out sick, guess who's driving? Guess who's picking up the resident from dialysis, right? Yeah. You know, guess who's gonna go serve in the dining room? You know, guess who's gonna go up if it's after hours, right? And the on-call person is on their way, but we need to get there right away. It's our team, right? And that's what we love, and we practice what we preach each and every day.
Yeah, in sports they call it next player up.
Next player up, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sure. Well, why not? But again, the your first fall speaking engagement is going to be coming up in August, huh?
Yep, that's with Dr. Callis. He's going to come to us on Friday, August 18th, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just to talk a little bit about forgetfulness. So if there is anyone who can attest to that or who has experienced that, um, um, whether it's lately or every day, certainly we'd love for you to come and hear what Dr. Callis has to share from us for, oh gosh, I can't even talk today. What Dr. Callis has to share with us. You can RSVP by calling us at 772-337-4330. We'd love to have you.
I think I got to write that number down and put an invite in. I need him right now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy, yeah. You know, I think the other thing, we don't talk all that much about it, but it, at least being a guy, it all comes down to food. And you guys have had some of the most amazing chefs over the years at HarborPlace.
Yeah. So, the thing about it is of course, you know, when you're used to being at home and you're cooking dishes, you know, a certain way, it's probably not going to taste like my food. But I tell you, our cooks and our dining services director really do put their heart and their soul in what we do and the meals that we prepare. Certainly we work off of a menu cycle, and we're reviewing that all the time, right? To just make sure, and even with me or with our dining services director meeting with our residents to tell us what's working well, what's not working well, so that we can make those adjustments, so that the meals that we're preparing with them in mind. The home style type cooking, some of those favorites that they're used to, some theme style dinners on occasion that we'll do here, but certainly what we do every day in the back of the house is what I'd like to say. We do that with our residents in mind. And I have to tell you, the food here is good. It is tasty, nice size portions. And if you want more than that, the desserts are delectable and divine. And the residents do, they love it. Not only the fact that they don't have to prepare it, but that they can just come in, sit down, and enjoy a good meal.
There you go. Yeah, that sounds great. And I know you have offered the dining room, I guess, if you will. I've been to some chamber events there, and believe me, in talking with fellow chamber folks, they're saying, "I want to move in." And they loved it.
Absolutely. So not only for our prospective residents, right? We work well with our community partners out there. So whether it's the chamber or whether it's some of our home health professionals, we have, our space here at HarborPlace is phenomenal. The various meeting rooms that we have, our dining area is certainly set up, right, to host any event. Most recently, I know we were able to host an event for our chamber members here at the community. Guests are coming in all the time. Prospective residents are coming in and having kind of what I'd like to say, kind of the try before you buy kind of. So hosting them for a meal in our dining room so that they get that experience of what the setting looks like, what they can expect once they move in. And so the dining room is set up beautifully, restaurant style dining. We're a little bit more casual for breakfast and lunch, but then at dinner time, that's when the linen tablecloths and linen napkins go onto the table. So more of a restaurant type style. Menu covers on the table with our menus being on display.
Oh, they don't usually let me into those white dinner table type places. So, oh, yeah, well, that sounds great. That really does sound great. Now, you talk about meetings. The meeting room in the back is set up for meetings like whether it's community meetings, service clubs, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And since the pandemic has been declared, no longer a pandemic, we are hosting more of our community partners, social programs here in many of our rooms, right? So our largest meeting room is usually where a speaker will come in. That's where we'll host whether it's for community partners or whether it's for our residents. We've done lunches back there. As a matter of fact, this Thursday is our retired nurses. They come in for their meeting and their luncheon, and so that will be held back in our meeting room. So we're always excited that we have this traffic that comes in to the community, sees the services and the amenities that we have to offer, and then they go out and they tell their friends.
So if you do have like a community organization or a civic group, give Pat a call and she can show you around?
Sure. So either Pat or Bethany, who is our lifestyle director, Pat is our sales director, just give them a call here at the community. And then what will happen is we'll tour, we'll talk a little bit about the group, what the expectations are, what they're kind of looking for, and then we just make it happen. Right here, whether it's a weekly meeting, whether it's a monthly meeting, an every now and then kind of meeting, whatever it is, we make it work. We're so excited to be able to host, again, those community partners and really just kind of showcase the community to those that are coming in.
I know a long time ago, you folks had talked about respite care. Do you still do stuff like that?
So in our assisted living community, we do offer respite. The minimum is 30 days. So one can come in, providing that we can provide the best care for them. They can come in, pay a daily rate for those 30 days or more, and still be able to experience the community, the care, the services, the amenities that we have to offer. Again, kind of, I can try it before I actually, make the commitment, so to speak. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. That really does. And so, again, your phone number at HarborPlace and location?
Yep. So we are, hey, listen, this hidden gem that I like to call it, right here, 3700 Southeast Jennings Road, in Port St. Lucie. You can get in contact with myself or Pat if you want to come in for a tour and lunch. 772-337-4330.
And with all those beautiful trees around, it's like living in a park.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It really is. There's
Yeah.
no doubt
It's
about
a
it.
beautiful setting, I tell you. It really is.
Well, again, you're going to be kicking things off on the speaking side in August. And I know you've got a lot of events coming up in the fall. You always do a veterans event in November as well. So you're going to be very, very busy in the next couple months.
Absolutely. Stay tuned because we're already talking about that veterans breakfast, yep, and event. So yeah, stay tuned. You'll hear more about that, Greg.
Yeah, and that veterans breakfast, by the way, for folks who don't know, it is absolutely spectacular, and it has been over the years too, and very colorful as well. You
Yep,
guys,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
we're
really
bringing it
go
back.
on.
Yeah, we're
Awesome.
bringing it back. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations on all of that, and for all you do. I mean, it's you've been a very, very caring organization for a lot of years.
Yeah. Again, you got to have a heart for it. And I do believe that the associates that we have here do have a heart for serving our seniors each and every day.
All right. And I know that you had at one point, were you looking at some nurses' aides or something like that uh, for employment at Harbor Place? I mean, can you actually, are you looking for employees there?
So we're always looking, right? But I tell you, right now we are doing, so I probably don't want to jinx myself, but right now we are doing well with staffing. There was, during that time where, um, like most of the country, we were challenged. But right now we are doing quite well with our staffing. But certainly, if anybody is interested in senior living and have a love for our seniors, give us a call and then we will share with you the link that you can go in and apply for any position that we have here at Harbor Place.
That is amazing. Well, Katrina, uh, keep it rolling here in 2023. It has been a very, very busy year for you and everyone at Harbor Place. And boy, it's going to be even busier in the fall.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we're here. We're here. We're here to help. We're here to serve our seniors and to make them, hey, if they can't live at home anymore, then certainly here at Harbor Place, they can enjoy a fruitful lifestyle.
There you go. Well, hey, look, you have a very, very good week, and we will see you and Pat real soon, okay?
All right. All right, Greg. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Katrina Beasley, Harbor Place, where you're never alone. I'm going to write down that doctor's name again. I just forgot it. Oh, no.
See you later, Greg.